Welcome back. This is section 4 of part 5 of the episode for Spirit. Now, we left off where one of my members to my crew came and told me that Nana would pass by the age of 5. I want to take you back to my crew members and what we used to do. I had quite a bit of crew members, and I also had a partner, and within those crew members I had anywhere from 5 to 6 spiritualists, where they were either clairvoyant or spiritual, in the sense that they were shaman healers like myself, and I'm clairvoyant as well. And they had many gifts, and Wally was one of my main people. She could see, I have chills. She could see like myself. She was a seeker, and she was a clairvoyant. She was also a shaman, and she had many gifts. So when she said that to me, I chose not to put it in mind because of the fact that it was so dramatic. I never told anyone. I kept it to myself, which was hard because I didn't know basically how to tell my son or how to tell anybody. So the only one I really told was my daughter Diamond, which is my closest child and my best friend. We didn't think about it for a long time, and during that time of her growing up and just advancing and going through our little things, and I actually got into a dispute with my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, and she wasn't talking to me by the time Nana became 4. And one day we were going to a taping that we had in Summers Point, and I had made arrangements with my crew to meet me there. And we had stenographers, and we had people that were going to investigate certain parts of the place, and we had people that were going to take down the storylines, and we had a full crew. And I got a call from my son, and he said, "Mom, I need you to come to the hospital." And I said, "Why? What happened?" And he said, "I am in Atlantic City Hospital, and Nana's real sick." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Mama, please come to the hospital. I need you to put your hands on her." And I said, "I'll be right there." So Wally and I got on the phones, and we canceled everything for the next night. I explained to my crew what was going on, and certain parts of the crew were going to get together and do the storyline and do certain things for the taping of the next day. And we got to the hospital, and she was in intensive care, and we went up, and she was in a room by herself, and the mother and I were not speaking. So when she saw me, it was more of like a shock of, "What are you doing here?" And then my son came to me, and she looked so weak. She looked like she was tired. And I said, "Hi, baby, how are you?" And she wouldn't say anything to me, and she just looked at me with these sorry eyes, like, I don't know if she was in pain, but I know she wasn't feeling good. And then Wally and I started talking to my son, and he says she hasn't eaten, she doesn't want to eat, and we're supposed to take her tomorrow to Cooper Hospital, where they're going to do some intensive test, and Mom, I'm scared. Excuse me. And I said, Wally, go with Wooly, and you go over to the bedside and you pick her up. And Wooly, you put her in Wally's arms. And I'll place my hands on her. And we'll start praying. And that's what occurred. My son went over to her, he picked her up, and he put her in Wally's arms. And her back was towards me. And as I looked at the mom, she looked like she really didn't appreciate the fact I was there. But it wasn't about us or what she felt. And so I placed my hand, because my left hand is my healing hand, and I placed my hand on her and we started to pray. And I saw the room light up. And as we started praying, I felt this energy. And I knew that the divine was there. And so we stopped praying. And he put her back down on the bed. And at that time, her uncle, who was my daughter-in-law's brother, came in. And we all started talking. And a few minutes later, I kissed her goodbye. I kissed my son goodbye and my son-in-law. And we walked out. And I couldn't stop crying when we got into the car. When we went to the garage and we got into the car, Wally drove, because I just didn't. I couldn't. And all of a sudden my son called. And he said, Mom, and my heart dropped. Because I thought something had happened to her. And I said, what? And he said, what did you do? And I said, why? What's wrong? And he said, as soon as you got out of the room, she jumped up and she said, Emma. And she started jumping on the bed. And she's eating, Mom. She's eating. And I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so we got off the phone. And Wally and I started talking, and she said, remember what I told you? And I said, but she's okay, Wally. And she says, please don't take this wrong, but it's not going to be like that for a while. Next day they took her to Cooper, and they couldn't find anything. When I come back, I'll finish the story. And I have some messages for this world that's in turmoil. And the reason that the divine does things with me as well as with this world, we stop believing in God. And that's why we're all going through what we're going through. I'll return in a minute.